On the 5th of December 1952, an unusual heavy smoke descended on the London. It remained in place for 5 days, bringing the capital to a standstill, and yet it caused no panic. Fog was a common phenomenon within London, and as dramatic as it was thought of just another example of a typical British weather. It wouldn't be until much later that the true cost of the Great Indian Smoke of 1952 was realized. The combination of smoke and chemicals within the fog is called smog. The normal smoke can kill around 1,000 people per day. There was a 5-day smoke in London which was called as the Lethal London Smoke, which killed around 12,000 people. This started to happen when London people stopped using wood and started to use coal for getting warmth. This coal could create dangerous substances like sulfur dioxide and carbon monoxide. Weather conditions on the 5th of December in 1952 conspired to trap this pollution within the city. With a complete lack of wind combined with a high zone of atmospheric pressure, effectively pushing the warm air and rising from the chimneys and smokestacks.
It was a warm fog. It was wrapped around you. It was all possessing.
It was smelly, it was dirty, it was black.
It had an acrid, acidy feel about it.
It seeped into the houses, and indoors everywhere's covered with a sort of grey film. It's quite uncanny.
The sum of all of these factors was that London produced a huge amount of air pollution.
We couldn't see him, but he said he could see the clouds. He could see above him, but he couldn't see through. So there was a mantle of thick fog between the ground, and he was somewhat 50 foot above us. And in consequence, we stopped work.
The Great Fog not only did its best to keep shipping tied up, it made things very unpleasant for everybody.
Although London was accustomed to heavy fogs, this one was denser and long-lasting than the previous fog. Visibility was reduced to just a few meters, making the drivers difficult or impossible. Public transports ceased. Apart from them, the London Underground and the ambulance services stopped, forcing the individuals to transport themselves to hospitals. Walking out of doors became a matter of shuffling 1 feet to feet for potential obstacles such as road curbs. This was made even worse at night, since back then street lamps at that time was fitted with an incandescent light bulb, which gave no penetrating light onto the pavement for pedestrians to see their feet or even a lamppost. Fog penetration fluorescent lamps did not become widely available until the 1950s. Smoke masks were worn by those who were able to purchase them from the chemists surrounding them. Sitting above the city was something called an anticyclone, which is a weather event which causes particular areas to be overcomely caused by cyclical winds around the area trapping the inside lunars. Londoners already used their foggy city first went about their days as normal, but when the fog did not go away and started to feel more and more toxic, they knew something was massive wrong. Smoke events like there were known in the London as a pea because of how the air throck and slowing as the air they made. Initial reports estimated about 4,000 died prematurely in the immediate aftermath of the smoke. The detrimental effect lingered, however, and the death rates remained well above the normal into the summer of 1953. Many experts now estimate the Great Smoke claimed at least 8,000 lives and perhaps as many as 12,000. It wasn't undertakers began to run out of coffins and florists out of bouquets that the deadly impact of the Great Smoke was realized. After 5 days of living of the suffragist hell, the Great Smoke finally lifted on December 9th when a brisk wind from the west swept into the toxic air away from London and out to the North Sea. The mortality in London was raised for months after the folk people died of influenza, respiratory tracts, and infections, hypoxia. The Great Smoke of London was dramatic and terrifying for those who endured it, but the dramatic nature of it what opened the doors to many decisive and meaningful changes in the aftermath. Politicians and the lawmakers could not ignore the issue of air pollution when they could both see and smell it in their streets. Conclusion: given that another smoke is unlikely to hit the city today, the issue of air pollution is one which still looms large, but which at the same time has become very easy to ignore.